Good morning. It is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, and I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand if you are able to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt today's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Merkin?
Aye.
Basil?
Aye.
Hens, aye. Public comment number one, this is the time for public to make comments on topics on today's agenda. Is there anyone to make comment on today's agenda? Not yet. All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment number one and we'll move on to, we've got consideration of proclamation recognizing 2024 as Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets. And whereas all children deserve to have the safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities they need to foster their healthy growth and development. And whereas child abuse and neglect are a community responsibility, affecting both the current and future quality of life of a community.
And whereas communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting and child development, and concrete resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children, ensure all children grow to their full potential. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community.
And now therefore be it resolved that we, the Story County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as Child Abuse Awareness Month in Story County and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities to which we live. I move the proclamation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. I guess Hens, aye. Basil?
Aye.
Merkin?
Aye.
Motion, or it is, the proclamation is approved. We also have a second proclamation recognizing April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Whereas nationally, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience some form of sexual assault in their lifetime. And whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month draws attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and its implications for every community member. And whereas there's compelling evidence that we can be successful in reducing sexual violence through prevention education, increased awareness, and holding perpetrators who commit acts of violence responsible for their actions.
And whereas we must work together to educate our community about what can be done to prevent sexual assault and how to support survivors. And whereas anyone can be a leader in preventing and ending sexual violence. As employers, educators, parents, and friends, we all have an obligation to uphold the basic principle that every individual should be free from violence and fear.
And whereas we encourage every person to start conversations about what sexual violence is, how to prevent it, and how to help survivors connect with services, and to speak out against harmful attitudes and actions. Now therefore be it resolved, we, the Story County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Story County to keep our community members safe from this crime and to stand with survivors and victims of sexual assault. I move the proclamation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Basil?
Aye.
Merkin?
Aye.
Hens, aye. Proclamation is adopted. And then I believe we have a picture to do. We'll have some folks come up.
For you guys, we might need to get two rows, maybe two row back.
Controller people in back. I'll move forward.
Right, there we go.
Right there.
It's fine, doing good. Oh, no, you're good.
1, 2.
Right, my hair look okay though. Okay. Thanks so much. Yes, that's your.
Moving on, under other reports, we have discussion and direction on modification to the ARPA agreement with the city of Story City. Leanne?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm going to just make my opening remarks and then have City Administrator Mark Jackson come up and present some information to you as well. As you know, the ARPA agreements and discussions occurred in October 2022. Since then, a number of changes may or may not have occurred to the applications that were put forth. So the board has allowed subrecipients to come forward, ask for the board to consider a modification. That is what we are talking about today. Mr. Jackson will present his information, and then following that, you may direct staff to go forward and draft an amendment to the agreement, and then we will bring that forward at a later time on your consent agenda. That's all I wanted to share for the record. Are there any questions on the process? Starting to feel like a broken record, but
Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne.
And Mark, were you going to come up and make some comments?
Always.
I don't know if you always want me to. No, we were pretty specific in our application, what we were going to do specifically, not on the slip lining, we were just in various parts of the city, but on the water main project, we were really specific on that. So in talking with Leanne, we are like 99% done with that project. It's pretty well just wrapping up sort of the odds and ends of that and then closing that out. But it appears that we're going to have some leftover funding from that project. Who would have thought that you actually come in under budget with the quantities and stuff? So I think that I sort of read the email between the slip lining stuff that we've done and the water main project. We're going to have somewhere between $25,000, $30,000 left over in ARPA funding from the county. So what we'd like to do is reallocate that, the remaining funds, just sort of leave it open-ended to go towards water main replacement or slip lining, whatever we do this year, because we have a number of projects coming up.
So it'd still be within that.
The same,
This
it's the same
thing.
it's the same two items. It's just the funds we have remaining, depending on what we decide to use them for, either wastewater slip lining of those mains or replacement of water mains. Same thing.
And when would you have it expended by?
Hopefully by the end of the year.
Okay, this year.
That's the
Okay.
plan, is to have this done. I mean, out of, what did we ask? 300 some odd thousand, I'm down to 25, 30. I want to do it and be done this year. And we've got projects coming up this year that this falls into. It's just where other funding sources are going to be for some of these projects we're doing.
And so just for the record, your original application was the slip lining and water main replacement project. So it's not that you're asking to move the funding to a different water project. It's the same application.
Well, on the water main project, we were specific in what mains we were going to be replacing.
Oh,
Those have been done. So this would be an additional water main in another part of the city that most likely we're going to do. We're looking at probably 2 possibly replacing that are going to happen this year. So I may move, what I'd like to do is just move those remaining funds to that project.
so it's obviously still ARPA eligible because
Yeah,
it's the very
right.
same thing. It's just some additional lines.
Right.
Correct.
I just wanted it to be clear, this wasn't a brand new separate thing you were
Good.
wanting to move the funds to.
No, no.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I don't have any other questions for you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So Leanne, I assume you would be putting an amended contract on next week's or the week after's agenda. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
All right. Sounds, yeah. I
Okay.
just looked.
And you're
Okay,
next.
Thanks. Yep. And then next we have the city, Story City's ARPA annual report.
Really,
Plus the, what is it, the Bertha Bartlett report? Are you doing that one as well? Or are you
No,
just
no.
The city?
we came over together.
Okay. Oh, okay.
She
Okay.
gets to
okay.
do that. I sort of just gave the report
Yep.
as well.
So-
There's no change from the last time. We're substantially completed. with
Okay.
what We've done. I don't know what more you want me to say.
You're good.
I'm good. Super.
We just
All right.
wanted to talk to
For
you a
the
little bit
record.
longer, Mark.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mark. Okay, now for the Bertha Bartlett Library annual report.
No, I'm gonna pass some things out. Just because our project hasn't started yet, so I wanted to show you, and we have two copies of this one, what we started with.
Okay,
We are hoping that construction begin this week. No less delay.
And do you mind saying all of that into the microphone
yes.
again?
So I brought some pictures of what we began with the project and why we had proposed the project from the beginning, as well as some photos of what will be happening now with the project. The project is a little bit different than originally proposed. We had been hoping to do a two-story building. And due to increased construction costs, that has had to be amended to a one-story building, still serving the same purpose. There will be a large meeting room. I can show you here how the floor plan has changed. This meeting room here will be added, and instead of being a two-story dedicated performance space, it will be a meeting room and performance space. So we've paid attention to acoustics so that we can still honor the Frankenese piano. We'll also be enclosing the courtyard, which will add an additional 1,000 square feet that will be possibly used for a children's area, or for other collection in the library.
Could you state your name for the record too,
Oh, I'm
please?
sorry.
Yes, my name is Tara Turner, and I'm the new director at Bertha Bartlett Public Library in Story City.
Thank you. Forgot to do that.
Due to some delays, construction, we're hoping will start this week. The project has been awarded to Kingland Construction out of Forest City.
And do you have a anticipated completion date?
Right now, the date that we have been given would be May of 2025, but we're confident that it will be finished before then.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions?
I don't have any additional questions. I know it had to have been a really difficult decision to make, to change the overall plans and remove that second story.
It did say I was recently hired at the library full-time in October. And so I was not in a position to fall in love with the two-story building. I'm disappointed that that's not what has happened. But as the new director, I am thrilled that we are going to be getting this meeting room that can seat over 150 people, because right now we're having to hold summer reading as well as other programs off-site just because we
Right.
don't have the space. So
and you're really making best use of the money by having it multi-purpose, so you can use it as a performance space as well.
yes, so if you notice on the floor plan, I think it was included there. This is the existing library, and one of our study rooms will be converted to a practice room for the piano. We're hoping to raise funds so that this would be a fully openable acoustic glass door that would allow the piano to be brought into the library space. A lot of people have performed recitals and different things there for years. But there'll also be double doors here that will allow us to wheel the piano, which is already on a stand, so it can be moved around the library into the new space. So, just having to be a little bit more clever to get the things that we all needed.
Sounds good.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
your update. Next we'll have the Bridge Home Annual Report.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Jody.
Morning.
I believe you've all met Evelyn, right?
Can you pull your mic closer? And I would just reintroduce.
Okay. Jody Stembo, and I'm the president and CEO at the Bridge Home.
Harrison, Director of Shelter.
You'll need to turn it on. There you go.
There we go. I guess the,
No, and you'll want to keep it. It's going to sound really loud to you, but it's what helps pick up.
gotcha. Evelyn Garrison, Director of Shelter.
Thank you.
And are we starting with the ARPA grant
Nope, I've got your annual report first.
for?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I had submitted the annual report. And first off, I would just like to see if there are any questions from all of you. I'm going to highlight some of the changes and the trends that we've seen, but I wanted to first see if there were questions.
I did have one quick question. On page 4, the 80% increase in number of clients served, is that increase over FY '23 or?
Yes.
Okay,
And that's due, we had an increase in shelter clients again, as well as we increased clients in our housing programs.
thank you.
Yep.
I have a question too, or a couple questions. I'm looking at, must be page 2, this page. Yeah, where you've got the, unit costs and stuff at the bottom of the page here. I think it's right with the page you were looking at, Jody.
Oh.
This one?
4.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Nope.
So, I'm looking at fiscal year 23 and it references, units served and it says 16,748 there. But in your scorecard, it says 11,465. So can you explain?
I'll
what
have to
this-
look at that, Lisa. I thought I had pulled everything from scorecard, so we'll have to look at that and get back to you. I don't know off the top of my head why that's.
Yeah, could you
What, that's
get back
different?
to us? Because my understanding is there's more than one difference between what's in here and what's in scorecards. So could you double check those and let us know?
Oh, of course I will. Again, I had used scorecard, so I'm surprised there's a difference. So we'll look at that.
Yeah, I also noticed too, if I calculated correctly too, your calculations for, like cost per unit on motel and and then what your total dollar amount spent on motels didn't calculate correctly either. So I just.
So, but the cost for the moteling is just the cost for the motel room. It's not staffing cost, it's not case management costs or wraparound services or food or any
Right.
of that.
I understand that, but I would assume if you're taking $141 for your cost per unit and you did 262 units, when you multiply the two together, they don't. Either for fiscal year 23 or fiscal year 24, they don't multiply correctly.
Are you talking about the 2024 actual cost per unit? That's when I took all the services and anything that goes into assisting the client while they're with us and came up with the amount using the
Mhm.
hotel and then using the shelter because a little bit of the difference. Because the shelter cost kind of fluctuates, or I'm sorry, not the shelter cost, the moteling fluctuates a little bit. I used an average number to be able to come up with that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at where it says 141 for your motel. And I know that says for actual for 2024, but you have 141 for fiscal year 23 as well. But if you take $141 times 262, I got actually 36,942 for fiscal year 23 and fiscal year 24, I got 34,968. You might just want to double check your.
I'll go back and double check.
on there.
We did have 36,929. It's a little bit off. And then 35,013 just for moteling.
So,
It's just a couple numbers off. Yeah.
Not huge.
And potentially there could have been some additional moteling charges for.
sure, I was
um,
just wondering, since you just reflect what
Yeah,
the motel costed. with
you
the
know,
number.
sometimes there's some damages and
Oh,
I
yes.
think it's
can-
just
Mm.
rounding.
could change.
Yes.
You take the 36,929 divided by 264, you get $141.18. So it's the 18 cents off. It's just, I think it's just, I think those two lines are just rounding errors, or not errors, just that you round
Rounding.
round it to the nearest
Whole
dollar.
number picture.
I'm not concerned about those.
Were there other things that you wanted to highlight, you said?
Yeah, is that all the questions? Okay. I just want to reiterate on page 6 that through the entire region, we serve nearly 4,000 clients. And in Story County, in all of our programming, we served nearly 3,000. 2,763 was the exact number. For asset-funded programs only, we served 1,286 individuals, and that unique number equates to 731. I also wanted to share on page 7, just kind of a glimpse at our new data system that we have been working on so that we can provide more reporting details. And you can see that we have in there, if you look at FY24 in the middle of the page through January, you can see that we have a lot more detail now available on how we can report of why they were turned away. I also wanted to point out that our housing wait list for FY23 was 71, which is significantly lower than last year. And that is because our process has become much more efficient in getting people from shelter into housing. We also were able to increase our supportive housing program. So that also helped get that wait list down. And then some of the trends that we saw last year in FY23. The one that I want to point out is page 15. You see we had while the number isn't big, we had a fairly significant increase in veterans needing our services. There was a 13% increase in FY23 from FY22. And then on page 16, regarding chronically homeless clients, this is a trend that I find a bit unnerving. So you would think it would be good because it shows a 29% decrease in clients who are chronically homeless. And the reason that is not a good thing is because our shelter numbers and the people we serve, those numbers increased. So what that means is we're seeing a large increase in people experiencing homelessness for the first time. And that's a question. We know a lot of families are struggling right now. We all know how much things cost, and it really is impacting our families. And so that's what we're seeing. So although there's a decrease, where the increase is makes it a trend that we really don't like to see. And then page 13 just again points out the increased number of shelter clients we served, as you can see, taken from scorecard. Our all-time high was in FY 17, and we had served 896. And if you look, we had a low in FY 20, which was COVID year, of 426. And then as you can see, as of FY 22, we beat our all-time high at 955. And then this past year, we were at 1,072. It's the number of individuals who entered shelter in Story County only during the fiscal year.
So Jody, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's an answer to this. I can see that, FY 20, COVID obviously, impacted a lot of different numbers. But in FY 18 and 19, the numbers of people who were sheltered went down significantly. It was a trend. Do you have any idea why the numbers were going down? before
I
20?
wasn't there.
Yeah, I just
So I
wondered if
don't-
anything about trends nationally, statewide, or anything like that.
I don't know, Linda. I'd have to look into it,
I'm just really
um,
curious.
but I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't there, so I'm not sure. We can check.
Yeah, I just found that interesting, that there was a trend,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
thank you.
On page 6, where it shows your clients served, where it says total clients served, Story County, all programs, 2,763. Is that duplicated or unduplicated?
That would be duplicated.
It is, that's what okay.
Yeah, every person every day, with the exception of housing. It's not every person every day for housing. It'd be every month.
Gotcha. Any other questions?
Did you have more? We keep interrupting with questions. Continue if you've got more.
No, those were the trends that I wanted to point out that we've been seeing. And if you have no more questions, then
How do you collaborate then with the other agencies? Because I know that you, in your comments of some folks that you've had to turn away. So I know we've got the kind of the coordinated intake process. I'm just wondering, where are you referring people to?
So coordinated entry is the process we use, and that's for the entire region. And that's to get people into housing programs. For shelter, it's first come, first serve. And they can come check every day with us if they need to. So if you're interested in how people get into housing programs, the way that works is if they have been in shelter for 7 to 14 days, then they can do the assessment. That's called the VI SPDAT. And that assessment provides a vulnerability scale. And that vulnerability scale shows these are the folks who are most vulnerable. If we don't get them housed real soon, it could be worse, and the least vulnerable. And after doing the VI SPDAT with them, and during those 7 to 14 days, they are supposed to be, that's time for decompression, and then an opportunity for them to self-resolve. So if they take the assessment, they qualify for housing, they go on that list, and then there's a weekly meeting with many agencies here and the entire region going through that list to talk about, and these are only agencies that have housing programs, because if they don't have a housing program, they can't pull people from the list. And we have to start at the top of that list and take those who are most vulnerable. And if people have openings in their caseloads, then they will pull the clients from the top down.
Gotcha. And then I know you work with landlords, are you having any challenges with landlords or anything in trying to find housing for your clients at all when you're kind of with your rapid housing? Has that been a challenge?
Housing is always a challenge,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
in the area of Ames, where the cycle is a little bit different for rental properties. Elizabeth has started doing what she calls roundtables, and roundtables where she's bringing landlords for a conversation. And through that, being able to build relationships and have discussions of what their challenges are and what our challenges are. And there's a lot of community members that attend that also. So I would say that's definitely a part of the, an outreach process to try to better, accommodate and meet the needs of our clients.
How many people were at that last?
Was it
47 people were in attendance.
good.
So that was, as Evelyn said, landlords, other human service agencies, and some community members.
And that'll be something we continue to do to reach the goals of meeting the needs of those clients. When you were also asking about how we collaborate with other agencies, we recently started something more in-house, but hopefully by the end of this month, we'll be rolling out to other agencies who want to join. It's called the by name list, where we're actually looking at each client by their name. What are their circumstances? What are their challenges? Do they have things been offered to them, like a SIRHA application or food stamps or medical? What does that look like for each individual? Because I know we like to get into the numbers, whereas I understand the numbers, but I like to get into the individuals and understand what the needs are of that individual. We are meeting 3 days a week and with all the staff at this point. And then on Fridays, we'll be incorporating community organizations that we feel best fit to address whatever the needs are that we're seeing in the trend. So we're trying to do a full month and a half of that to see, okay, who all should we have at the table? I've already started the conversation with some of the agencies to let them know that this is going to be something I'd like to invite them to. But it's definitely looking at each individual all the time and what their needs are at that time.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Additionally, a couple other things that we have done recently to connect with other agencies here in the community. We've started to really beef up our outreach program. And so that includes a monthly meeting with the police. That's during each shift. Some staff will go and chat and say, you know, are you seeing folks? Where are you seeing them? Yes, we've had contact. No, we haven't had contact. One of my example stories that has come out of that is the police said, well, have you seen so-and-so? He's fighting trees again. And staff was like, no, we haven't seen him for a while, but we'll go find him. And our staff went and found him. They talked to him. They found out what they needed and got that situation de-escalated. So that's been a exciting and very important step. That's also an important step, but the by name list, because those people that are in outreach and aren't in our facility are on that by name list as well. The other contact that we're working with is Mary Greeley Medical Center. It was discovered there's a big gap when people get released from the hospital or emergency room and do not have a home and still need medical care. So whether that's just help with personal hygiene, wound cleaning, whatever it may be, there's really no place for those folks to go right now. So we've been working with them on how do we get them insurance faster? And Evelyn's been working on some of that, and we found some options for that. And so we're continuing to work with them on making sure that we can somehow figure out that gap and where do folks really need to go.
So then are you coordinating with primary health care then to kind of address some of those needs? Or
They're on the list,
They're
of
on the
course.
list, okay.
Yes, I can only do one at a time, but
Right.
it's definitely been kind of interesting because DHS has also helped provide us with information that will allow Mary Greenlee to better have some more information to be able to
Oh, good.
assist their clients, I'll say. Yeah,
Good, good, good.
for sure.
Anything else?
No, I'm glad to hear that you're meeting regularly with the police and with Mary Greeley, because those are the two other huge, agencies that see all the homeless people in town. So, completing that circle is real important.
Yeah, and they will be involved in the by name list that
Sure.
Evelyn referred to when we bring in the community partners.
Right.
They'll be a part of that along with other human service agencies.
And we've been able to see those types of gaps, I'll say, because of our new system with Plan Street. We're able to implement things in there that say, hey, where are these gaps at? How many contacts we're having with clients and things like that, so we can see, okay, this might be an issue. How do we go back and address it? Just like we beeped up the outreach, we're able to track where are we meeting them at? Where are we getting them mostly through phone calls or through the hospital, or are we getting them mostly through police drop-offs or the library or out in the street? So those are the categories. If we start to see trends, I add a new category so we can start tracking that. And that's still fairly new. So granted, the system's fairly new. You almost have need a couple years to be able to really see the idea of the numbers, but we can quickly track those things now and then come up with a plan to be able to address that need.
And you began you got this new program at the end of last year, is that right?
I think April was about, I
Yeah,
think we
it's just
just
about a
hit
year.
this month.
Uh-huh.
It will be, probably the end of this month will be an actual full year. So it's been one, learning the system, working with our IT folks to make it read what we want it to read.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's an exciting system. I've learned more about computers than I ever thought I would need to. But I would also like to say that through that, there has also been a lot of training involved with staff. And I've been here, it's been just over a year now. And our collaboration with staff on like, hey, what are the gaps? How comfortable do you feel answering the phone and replying to these types of things? Compassion, fatigue, harmless reduction, de-escalation. I think we repeat like every 3 months. Trainings that encourage self-sufficiency has been a big one, and that can be a different range of things. Vicarious trauma, because we deal with chaotic situations all the time, and then how are we doing our own self-care? And I will say emotional attachments is kind of a new one that we've started looking at, people's emotional attachments to things, to people, and how do we better work with them. One thing that has been exciting to do when working with staff has been, we had just some things come up, right? And the other day it was being protective of our bodily fluids and those types of things, because we have so many people in and out. So then yesterday we kicked out a new training. So now we have a new training to be able, I'm trying to think of the word, pathogens. There you go. Yep. Bloodborne pathogens. So now we have new trainings on that. So as things come up, it's not kicked by the wayside. It's a conversation with all of us that say, what is our protocol for this? Do we need one for this? And then how do we better prepare staff so that they're better prepared when working with clients too? So.
Right. Thank you. Any additional questions on this topic before we move on to the ARPA?
Good information. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we'll go ahead and go on to your ARPA update.
Okay, we are underway. So the renovations began the first part of the year, about mid-January, and they are on track with all of the progress. So they've done demo inside, they have installed new doors, they've they replaced all the locks and trimming and things such as that inside. They replaced with all new windows, and doing a lot of plumbing stuff right now. with the new bathroom. And where they are at this point in time is they are working on painting. That started end of March. And so they're cleaning up each unit and painting it. So they are on track to be wrapped up, I would guess, by May. Knocking on wood, if there's no surprises or items come in. So some of the things that they have left after the painting will be the installation of the bathroom facilities and showers, and things such as that, as well as new appliances where they were needed. And so we are on track, we are on target, and we're excited to get those open and get some folks in there.
Mhm.
Very
That'll be
good.
great.
What's your projected completion date, did you say,
They're looking probably at May.
of this year?
Yes,
So you'll have it all done, built and everything.
the renovation, yes.
Any additional questions? No. All right,
Thank you.
great,
All
thanks.
right, thank you.
City of Collins, okay. We have their report, but we don't have anyone here to. Another agenda, okay, we'll have to put that on another agenda. Write that down. All right, so I guess we'll move on to consideration of minutes. We've got the March 26th, 2024 minutes.
I would move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Merkin,
Aye.
Basil,
Aye.
Hens, aye. Minutes are approved. Consideration of personnel actions.
I would move approval of personnel actions as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Basil,
Aye.
Merkin,
Aye.
Hens, aye. Consent agenda items.
I would move approval of the consent agenda items as listed.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Merkin,
Aye.
Basil,
Aye.
Hens, aye. Okay, we have no public hearing items, additional items. We've got discussion and consideration of fiscal year 25 benefit renewal. Hi, Alyssa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so on the agenda I have, it's that time of year again where I come with all of our employee benefits. Looking at all of it, pretty much the same as it was last year. There's no increases in our dental, our vision, our life insurance premiums. I'm recommending an increase in our WageWorks flex spending allowable amount for our employees. Just to coincide with the IRS, they change it every year. They increase it a little bit. We've been at 2,500 for a long time. We've had some requests to take a look at that. So I'm making that request. And then I'm also requesting the board to move our stop loss for our self-insured Wellmark group health plans from 75,000 to 100,000. After doing all the analysis, it looks like this is a good year to do that. In the initial renewal from Wellmark, our admin fees had gone up about 4%, and they had recommended an increase in premiums anywhere between 6 and 7.5%. So we did look at the $100,000 stop loss. Our admin fees do go down, obviously, but we do have a little bit more risk. But I think it's a reasonable risk. We don't know what claims are going to be next year. Our claims have gone up a little bit. But looking at it with our broker and everything, it looks like it's a good year to make that move. That would be the top stop loss amount that I would probably recommend with a group our size. So it took us a few years to get there. But I think we're there, and we can kind of go lower than a recommended rate increase. We can keep that in recommending 4% on our health insurance premiums for next year. It's been a few years since we've had any rate increase, or I've recommended a rate increase, but because of the cost and everything, I am recommending a small increase this year.
Okay.
Do you have any
Wasn't-
questions? I mean, it looks,
That we
Yeah.
haven't had rate increases
Yeah.
for the last few years. So I think a 4% compared to what you see some places is pretty
Yeah.
small.
and self-insurance has really changed that for us.
Sure.
It's
Um,
been a good.
It's, yeah, it's
big
much better than it was a few years ago when we were fully insured and kind of waiting for what, the carrier wanted our rates to go up. So yeah, I think we're looking good on this. We haven't changed it. Plan design's exactly the same. Co-pays, drug plan is, the tiers are all the
Vision
same.
though is better.
Vision is better. We do have an increased, and it's a little bit more for frames. Unfortunately, the cost has gone up
Sure.
like
Mhm.
everything. So they were able to increase that, I think, by 20 bucks a year or whatever, and contact lenses too. We have seen those increase a little bit, but that was good.
Well, I
Part of our
appreciate the work
renewal.
we did to find a way to keep that premium increase down as much as possible. I mean, it's gonna happen, but I think finding a way to increase that stop loss was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good for us. So
Good.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Not, is
No.
there a motion?
I would move approval of the FY 25 benefit renewal package.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Basil?
Aye.
Merkin?
Aye.
Heddens, aye. Is approved.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Laura.
Thank you.
Right, we have no departmental reports or other reports. Any upcoming agenda items?
I don't have any.
None? Okay. Now is time for public comment number 2. Comments from the public on items not on this agenda. The board may not take any action on the comments due to requirements of open meetings law, but may do so in the future. I know we have one person who would like to make public comment. Ronald Lyon would like to make public comment. Yep. Yep. And what I'll do you want him to go to the podium over there, or are you okay? Yeah, just come on. Nope, come up to the table here and then turn on the mic. And then we just, even though I just said your name, if you would state your name. Nope, it's got, push the button, it'll be green. Now it is.
Green.
Yep.
I plead guilty here. My property was, observed to have a large rock sitting within the right of way of the street that's in front of my house. This large rock has been in front of my house over 12 years, sitting in the same place. I've got pictures of it. Would you like me to circulate that around while I talk to you?
Sure. You can start with both of them with her, and then we can just pass them down. That's fine.
The large rock is.
Okay, got it.
We just have to have you on the microphone so that it
I gotcha.
is in the recording.
Anyway, like I said, this large rock's been in front of my house for over 12 years. And it was, they've been accepting it for all that long, but my neighbor, she's quite the neighbor from down below, discovered my rock and she thought she wanted some rocks, so they spread about 8 or 9 right in front of their house, right up against the road. Well, the motor patrol operator, I'm guessing, saw that and didn't like it at all. I wouldn't like it either. It's way too close to the road. It's on a straight piece of road. And I don't know whether they came out and addressed it. I don't think they did because, I've been a citizen for 79 years of this county and they still don't knock on my door. They send me one of these notices to up here. Anyway, she said, how does my neighbor get along with this rock? He's got a big rock out in front of his house. Why can't I have these? Well, so they moved their rocks right away because they knew they were in the wrong. But I'm not moving mine because I've got 30 days. And also, my letter says that the Board of Supervisors may, at the sole discretion by majority vote, waive my violation of this chapter that has not been referred to the Story County Attorney for legal action. Anyway, I'm just trying to plead guilty that the rock's there, but it's been there for 12 years. Nobody's said anything about it. It's there for a reason. You see the road, it's about an 80-degree circle road.
Mhm.
People try to see how fast they can go around that corner. And they end up over there in the soil between the road and my machine shed, and it's there to protect the door on the machine shed. Very simply. That's all it's there for. It's not there for decoration or to beautify. Well, anyway, the county engineer let her turned right around, and she's got 19 trees planted where those rocks were. Now, these trees are going to grow. I've got a 60-foot tree that grew in 38 years to literally, not kidding you, it's a sycamore tree that big around in my front yard. They're going to grow and gonna be a pain in the neck for somebody. Why they couldn't see their way clear to do anything about the trees, but maybe they're in the process. But I haven't bothered talking to them because this letter says the supervisors may the Board of Supervisors at its sole discretion may by a majority vote waive my violation of this chapter. So that's the reason I come to you. You can waive it and tell the guy to go find something better to do other than pester the citizens that have been around long before he arrived, and it'll be around long before he leaves, after he leaves. So that's the reason for my appearance, pleading on your common sense to do the right thing and go tell him to find something better to do.
Can I ask a quick question about, so this photo here?
Yep,
What are the green lines on the outside?
it's
Is that-
grass.
No, so there's a blue line down this, I'm assuming.
That's their theoretic
Okay.
right of way.
Oh, the green is the right of way.
Those wide,
Okay.
those wide lines.
Uh-huh.
And the road has strayed closer to my house. As you can see, it's not perfectly centered on the road, and I wouldn't expect it to be,
Mhm.
but it's the
Gotcha.
traffic. That's it. And you can see the way the dirt lays in the road, that the traffic don't run over there by my rock. The motor patrol, they're worried about snow is what they're worried about.
Mhm.
The motor
Mhm.
patrol would have to go way out of his way to ever reach that rock. Of course, they don't have there's no pictures there of my neighbor's rocks, but
Right.
they brought that in my letter here that they noticed their rocks, and this neighbor complained that I shouldn't get away with my one rock anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. If you say move it, I'll move it, but it will be begrudgingly. I'll tell you that.
Well, we can't take action today.
I know,
because-
but it says that you at your sole discretion can.
Right, but it would
Wait.
have to be on an agenda, an action item on an agenda. So
Okay.
we
Sure.
cannot do anything today because it's not,
So I can await
On an
my
agenda.
hearing from you.
I'd probably, I'd want to follow up with the county engineer
Yeah.
and just understand kind of the whole process, what's going on, or how did it get to your one neighbor can't, just from the information that you've provided us and that you provided me the other day.
Yeah. Well, that's my only picture, so.
Okay.
So.
I'll follow up.
I'm
and talk-
assuming you will follow up and
I'll talk-
respond to me by mail or phone or
Yeah.
both.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Yep. Thank you for
you.
coming in today. Next, we have liaison assignments, committee meeting updates and announcements. Supervisor Merkin.
Okay, thank you. Have a meeting this afternoon on some training we're planning for board and commission members. Tomorrow morning is Leadership Nevada. I'm also sitting in on some open meetings and ethics training tomorrow afternoon, which we might be looking at for the boards and commissions. We'll be attending Navigating Differences, Thursday, and Friday morning. Friday morning, I'll be in Des Moines at the OCIO talking about BEAD funding. Noon Friday, we have, or 1 o'clock, I think it's groundbreaking Boys and Girls Club. And next Monday, holding for something. Not sure what. And a meeting on annex building and what we might be doing over there for emergency management agency. So.
Supervisor Basil.
Yep, I have a really busy week, but I am locked out of my computer and didn't bring my phone in with me, so I can't open my calendar, so it doesn't exist. Sounds like I have a free week. Many of the same meetings that Linda has.
Okay, I have leadership boot camp this afternoon as well. I also have Board of Health meeting, Leadership Nevada tomorrow. I have a Thursday a meeting with the Mayor of Zeering. Friday I have a meeting in Ames, and then the Boys and Girls Club groundbreaking. Monday, I also have leadership boot camp on Monday. Is that correct? No, okay, I had 2 days on it. But I have a meeting, yeah, I have it for tomorrow, but I also had it on Monday, so it was probably a hold.
I got moved.
Leadership Nevada,
They-
well, Leadership Boot Camp is today.
Right. But I also had a leadership boot camp for Monday, but it might have been a hold.
I think it was. a
So I
hold.
just will take that off. But I do have a meeting with YSS Monday afternoon, and then I plan on going to the Zeering board meeting that Monday night. So busy week. So there's nothing else. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Faisal?
Aye.
Merkin?
aye.
Hens, aye. We are adjourned.